Ishwarama's resplendent sun. It's the start of a bright new day. Time to rise, time to shine, Lord divine. Time to lead us along life's way. Awake, Lord of Buddha party. Awake, O Lord, over all mankind. Awake, O Lord of compassion. That the world good fortune may find.
We offer
For our humble pranams,
to the
divine lotus feet, Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Everything we think, everything we say, and everything we do, let it be you. Sai Ram. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. Oh, I'm just so filled with love from all the beautiful devotees that are here, and how you all have presented Swami on the altar and the flowers and everything. So I'm going to sing a little song for you. In moments like this, I sing out a song. I sing out a love song to Swami. In moments like this, I lift up my heart. I lift up my heart to the Lord, singing, I love you, Lord. Singing, I love you, Lord. Singing, I love you, Lord. I love you. That's what you all do to me. We're so pleased to be here with you today. And I want to say a little prayer in English to Swami before we start. Dear Swami, thank you for giving us this marvelous opportunity to be here, to learn about your teachings, to share our experiences of you and our love. Open our hearts so that we can receive what it is that you want us to know. Allow each of us to pass this love that you give us to each other. Amen.
Sai Ram, we never know what we're going to say and who's going to say it first or last or in between, so sometimes we interrupt one another. Peace, that's the conference. Many years ago, I was sitting in Darshan, and there was a young man, about 30-something years old, next to me. And it was his first darshan. And Swami, this was at Vrindavan, and Swami walked right up to him and looked at him and said, peace, no place, peace, here. And so it so happened that young man needed to ride into Bangalore that day, so he went with us in the taxi. And I said, would you mind sharing, that was your very first darshan, what did you think? He says, you don't believe, you cannot comprehend what that darshan meant to me. I said, why? He said, I have traveled practically every place in the world finding peace. I've been to the Himalayas, I've been to Mount Shasta, Peru, and he ran all these places he'd been. I was looking for the place where there was peace. Now, isn't it amazing? This young man traveled the whole world looking for peace. His very first darshan, Swami comes up to him and says, peace not a place, peace in here. He does know everything, doesn't he? And we just can't comprehend that. We cannot comprehend that there's someone on earth that knows everything. But you know, Jesus died on the cross for us. But also, what does Swami do for us? He says, past is past. Forget the past. There's only the present. So in a way, he is taking all those negative things that we've been programmed in our mind with, and our ego wants to hold on to, and he's forgiven us. Find peace. Find peace. You just jump in any, you know how I get when, you know, that I start talking about Swami, I forget my wife sometimes, not really.
How can you forget your wife?
She's always there to remind me.
Swami says wife is your life.
But
Wife,
you know,
do you know what wife means?
Yeah.
Swami says worry inside forever.
but you know, also, the reason Swami gives us a wife and gives you a husband be so he can grind our egos, just like that little scene you just seen. If you had total harmony with a husband and wife, how could you grow? You couldn't grind those little... Swami says, one day, Cody, why don't you tell it? Because you really enjoy this story.
Which one?
About I send you many problems.
Oh, Swami. Swami said one day, he says, I send you one problem. You solve it. I send you 10 more. And he was so happy he could send us 10 more problems. Swami says, why does God send you problems? He said, because when you have problems, you yearn for God. If we all have peace and contentment and happiness, would any of us be here? Why are we here? We're searching for this peace and this happiness. And we are so blessed to have come to the right place. I remember years ago, before Swami introduced himself to me inside, I had been on the spiritual path for about 10 years. And every day, starting this January in 1976, I woke up and I sat at the foot of my altar and I would say, I want peace. I want peace. And I prayed for it. So when Swami introduced himself to me in meditation in the end of February 1976, I thought, oh, God here is on earth in human form. What a rare opportunity I have. Now all my problems are going to stop. How many of us think that when we come to the spiritual path, all of our problems are going to stop? Let me tell you, they have accelerated. And even though I've been on the spiritual path for this long period of time and known Swami, if you look at Robert and I and think, oh, their life is so easy, let me assure you, he is still working very hard. I have found that the things that didn't bother me years ago don't bother me today. So for the Lord to shake me, he has to give me 3, 4, 5, or 6 crises at one time. So the heat gets turned up because he's allowing me to know you have not, your center, you're not on your center. You have not reached that equanimity within yourself. Swami says, my devotees are confused. They've lost their fuse. We've lost our inner connection. Swami says, the whole world is restless. Too many desires. He says desires are piling up like an anthill. No limits. Have you ever watched your thoughts? And almost with every thought, there's a desire. I want peace. Swami says, drop the I want. We all know that. Swami says, peace inside, pieces outside. So what happens when we watch our thoughts? You wake up in the morning. I want breakfast. I don't want traffic when I go to work. I hope my wife is fixing a good dinner. I hope the children are going to behave today. Like they say, seen here, I hope my boss will be in a good mood. I hope the car doesn't break down. How can I buy this new boat? On and on and on with almost every thought. There is a hidden agenda of something we want. And Swami encourages these desires. I'll never forget the first time we went to see Swami. Robert had asked Swami if he would marry us. Swami had said yes, he would marry us. So Swami puts us in a taxi with a couple that Swami had married the year before. And so what happened? Swami had made them rings. Not only had he made them rings, but he had given her a silk sari. So what happened? Now I not only wanted to be married by Swami, a spiritual wedding, but I also wanted a silk sari and rings. So he keeps creating these desires in many ways. And today, because of TV and the media, from the time our children are little, the little children in the village of Puttaparthi who are watching TV today are running around asking for Carberry's chocolates. So the question comes, how do we attain this peace? One of the things I found within myself, that one of the biggest deterrents is fear. We have love on one side and we have fear on the other. About 80% of our decisions are based out of fear. We don't like to use the term fear, but that's what it really is. I'm afraid I'll lose my job. I'm afraid if I change jobs. I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough money. I'm afraid my children aren't going to grow up and be good children. I'm afraid when they go out with a car, they're not going to come home. I'm afraid this illness is never going to get over with. And it goes on and it's on. And one day, I examined fear. And you know, fear makes you shake. It's sometimes when it's really bad, you feel like an earthquake if there's something really serious, like if you've got cancer or someone in your family is dying, or a child like our daughter was on drugs and ran away from home and we didn't know where she was. These are big tests. So I examined fear. It's a feeling. It's a feeling of not knowing what the outcome of something is going to be. Swami said to me inside, he said, if it is known, you don't need faith. Only when it is unknown do you need this bridge of faith. So the only way that we can overcome is to have faith and complete trust in God that He is going to provide for us what is absolutely the best thing possible. I thought about fear, and I said to myself, now, Rita, you find out and think about one good thing you can possibly think of fear. What is one good thing with having fear? Well, fear of the Lord is a little bit of good things, because Swami tells us we must have love of God, fear of God, and morality in society. But other than that, I couldn't come up with anything. Fear serves no purpose. And it's only a mind thing. It's only a programming. It is not our real self. So absolute fear serves no good purpose whatsoever in any of our lives. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of energy. How many times have you been afraid of something and 6 months later the problem's been corrected and you look back and you think, gee, why did I even have that fear? Why did I even have that problem? My relationship with Swami has been a marvelous journey, just marvelous. He has taught me so much. He has given us so much understanding through the hardships that we have encountered. When our daughter was lost and gone, and we didn't know where she was, if it wasn't for Swami, and I knew that his love was there to protect her, because you know, mothers and fathers' arms are never long enough. We want to protect our children so much, but only God can do that. So, if it wasn't for Swami and his grace to give me the ability to trust him, I would have never slept for the whole 5 days she was gone. But instead, I would sit in front of my altar at night, turn everything over to him, surrender to him, so that I could lay down and go to sleep. You want to say a few things?
Well, you take a breath, maybe.
Yeah. I
I'll
get
tell
on
you what,
these
you get a woman
rolls.
on a roll. And the first time we talked at the EHV building, Dr. Reddy said, now, you know, we can't ever ask Swami if a woman can talk to the overseas people because the men won't do that. But he said, let her talk for some, and she can sit next to you. So she swears I talk most of the time, and I never really thought I did, but some wise person gave us a copy of the talk that day, and I really did talk a lot more than she did. But so anyway, afterwards he came up to me and said, next week when you talk, let your wife talk more. They really liked her, unofficially. So now we fight to see who can talk, you know, at least we get 30 minutes apiece. But the amazing thing is that peace, and especially for the men, you know, let's face it, the men and women are different. And I always think that, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to be a woman in this life? They're so full of natural devotion. I mean, let's face it, guys, we're kind of turkeys when it comes to devotion. You know, in India, they have a saying that, hold on to your wife's sorry and she'll bring you to God. And that's really true in the West, too, because the woman is the spiritual leader in the home. And of course, Swami says that. And so, you know, many times we just kind of, our egos don't let us sense that devotion. And I used to think, oh, the women, they feel that love of Swami so much. And I didn't feel anything when he walked by me. And they're all blissed out. They come back and, you know, forget the lunch, I'm just still blissed out, you know. And I thought, why can't I? And then I'd look over and see 120 lines of ladies and 5 of men. And I'd say, well, Swami, it is kind of good to be a man because you get first or second row every day. So, you know, I think I'll keep being a man. But then there's one problem, guys. Our ego. See, the men have a little different ego than the ladies have when it comes to devotion. So what does Swami do? He wants to grind our ego a little bit. I should say a lot. One day I was sitting in Darshan, Swami comes by me, he says, where are you from? I'm from America, Swami. Well, the older devotee, you know, they've been on the spiritual path and been to Puda Party a couple times, so they're older and wiser and they know everything, right? They've been there twice. He looked at me and says, don't you know what you're supposed to say? I said, what are you talking about? He said, you're on the spiritual path. When Swami asked you where you're from, you're supposed to say, I'm from you, Swami. He's God, isn't he? And you're God. Well, I hadn't sunk into me that I was God yet. I'm still, my ego says I'm Robert. You know, that's who I am. So a couple years goes by, Swami comes by me and says, "Where are you from?" And I got the answer, right? I'm on the spiritual path. I'm really been there. I've been a devotee 4 or 5 years, and I'm really getting with it. Man, I sit up like a peacock. "I'm from you, Swami." He looked at me and said, "Not me with that mad monkey mind." Geez, I was devastated. Ego lesson 1. Don't get too uppity about spirituality. It crushed me. So we're at the opening of Trey Brindavan, which was what they call the new mandir at Brindavan. And Swami had walked up, and he brought, Rita and I got blessed to go in the day before. And he was giving the ladies saris and all the workers things and everything. And there was only one other Westerner there with me. And we got shuffled out of the way so we couldn't see anymore. Because, you know, Swami has a tendency to make us quit looking at the ladies. And so Swami come walking by, and he walked up to the Westerner and handed him an envelope and said, "Lunch." And Swami walks right by me. I said, "Swami, where's mine?" And he turned to me with the sweetest smile and says, "Your wife has yours." Ego crushed again. You know, I got to be pretty slow. You know, I must have been Moses in one of the lives, because he couldn't remember the 10 Commandments. God had to write them on the tablets, right? So I must be pretty slow. So there I am again, and Swami comes up to me again and says, "Where are you from?" Oh, brother, I don't want the man monkey scene again. I don't want to be stupid and say I'm from America. And I must have been computing, you know, 1,000,000 megahertz. And I looked at Swami, I knelt. I said, Swami, someday I hope I can say I'm from you. And Swami laughed and went on. So I think I got over that hurdle a little bit. I made him happy. But one time, you know, Hislop said that every day when you get up, you dedicate everything to Swami. He is the doer. And you never can do anything wrong, because it's his problem. No matter what happens, he did it, not you. You know, I said, that's pretty good. So I come walking on around Building 1, and I was having some thoughts that weren't very nice. And I said, "Swami, they're not my thoughts, they're your thoughts." And at that instant, a bird pooped all over me. I said, "Instant karma, huh, Swami?" I mean, he's working on our ego to give us peace. All Swami wants to do is bring us home. Bring us home. Swami said the very first thing that you have to learn is self-confidence. God didn't make any junk. You are embodiments of love. Have that self-confidence that you are embodiments of love. Now, once we get that, we can love ourselves. Once we love ourselves, giving seva to others is very simple. Because we love ourselves, we can give love to others. And that's really what peace is all about, is giving love to others. And realizing he's the doer, and we're not doing anything but showing up. Swami said that you are like scissors. I am one part, and you're the other part, and we're cutting the cloth of Dharma. You're just an instrument, but I'm the doer. I can't do anything without you. So be careful of the false humility game. Swami must work through us, but we can't let that ego get attached to it and realize he's the doer. And that's what's not easy sometimes. I mean, this beautiful altar, everything, the beautiful meals and everything. The very first person that said, "I decorated this," or "I made the meals," you're in trouble, guys. Who's this I? Swami says. Who's this I? You know, there's only one I. Swami said 1 + 1 + 1 is 4. I plus I is only I. There's only I. There's only the Atma, there's only God, there's only you and I together. Swami said, and then I'll be quiet. I'll take one breath.
Oh, I'm enjoying this.
Swami said the very first interview, and we got to go to India. We had 4 children, and some wonderful devotee was very, I guess, a little crazy. She agreed to watch all 4 kids while we could go to India. And in those days, there was no such thing as a home equity loan. So I had to sell my house, buy it back because my salary had increased, so I could afford more of a payment on the house. Then I had the money to go to India. So, you know, it is tapas. It is that we really have that desire to go see him. And so we get there, and let's face it, I really wasn't much on the spiritual path. I was happy. She wasn't very happy, but I was happy. I didn't see any problems. I had great meals every day. I had fun at work, you know, partying, had a good time. I wasn't unhappy. God was being good to me. Wasn't being very good to her because she was having lots of problems. And she could see him. I just wasn't opening my eyes to look at him. You know, dumb and happy, like an ostrich. So I get to India. It was the perfect trip. You were first row every day. And it was in April. There was nobody there because it was so hot in Puja Party, 110 degrees. And I'd read my first book. And so then the next week we went to Brindavan. The next week we went to Udi with Swami. I mean, that's like being in paradise from Puja Party at 110 to 70 degrees up in the mountains with Swami. And he's like so different up there. He was so different. He was the sweetness because of no discipline problems like at the ashram. It was so different. Swami brings us in for an interview. And he looks at me and says, "Come, sit here." I was hid down there. So he puts me right in front of him. And he says, "What are you doing for your sadhana?" I hardly knew what the word meant. I knew it had something to do with spirituality. And I'd read the book 2 weeks before when I was at Puja Party. I said, "Reading?" Swami went, no. He said, "Experience, experience, experience." And then he said something that I know you've all heard many times, but it took me at least 10 years to understand it. He looked at me, and you know when Swami looks at you in darshan or wherever, it's just like you're the only person in the whole universe. And he said, "You are God. I am God. We are God. The only difference is I know it and you don't." And those words I thought of for years and years and years. And it finally, after hearing many, many discourses and reading discourses of Swami, that you are all embodiments of love. You and I are one. You know, it takes years to fully understand and deprogram that ego and have some peace that we are embodiments. You better take off. I'll just keep yanking.
Swami says, when there is right conduct, there is character. When there is character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there is peace on earth. He has a way of phrasing things, doesn't he? That gives us such a complete picture and understanding. He has visual words. But what is he saying? Right conduct. We start with right conduct to develop this good character. And we must have harmony in our homes. And like the children depicted here, it shows what our lifestyles are like today. And I'm sure each of us could identify with some part of it, or maybe more than some part of it, a lot of it. The stress that we live under today is tremendous, tremendous. What I want to share with you a little bit, how many people here are here for the first time? Who kind of new to Swami? Come on, raise your hand so I can get an idea. Wow, welcome home. You have come to the most magnificent being that has ever walked Earth. What I would like to do is just share a little bit about the process of a spiritual path so that I can encourage all of you to stay with Sai. I remember when I was new, a devotee had said, put glue on your hands and hold on to that tree with super glue. And no matter how hard he shakes that tree, you'll never let go. Believe me, he has shaken my tree a lot. I have just come through 5 months of deep cleansing. Health problems, lots of health problems, and a lot of fear came up. He doesn't allow us to slip backwards. He only pushes us forward relentlessly. Like he said, one problem, I give you 10 more. He wants us to come home. What happens is this. When we have difficulties in our life, our problems or hurts because of someone that has rejected us, we shove that down into our subconscious. Now that pipe is all cluttered up with all this negativity. And Swami's kind of like a Rotorua. I mean, he's a plumber. He's going to get in there and he's got to clean this vessel. He's got to make it a perfect flute so the Atma, the super consciousness, can come through so that we can become pure instruments for him. So what happens is when we have these hurts buried in our subconscious, it takes energy to hold that down. Now, the Lord comes along and he will shake you. He will rub this in one way or the other so that it comes up, so that you can look at it and let go and give it to God. Now what happens is that energy that you were using to hold it down into the subconscious is released so that energy can be used for the development of opening up your heart. It develops your higher spiritual centers. So when we struggle and we go through these things, if we understand a little bit about the process, it's not nearly so difficult. One day I was sitting at the kitchen table years ago, and I was going through some crisis, and I was shaking inside. And I said to Swami, "Oh, Swami, please help." He says, "You feel like an earthquake inside." This is the inner voice. And I said, "Yes, Swami." He says, "You are going through an earthquake." He said, "What happens is this. When you have an earthquake, the land parts, and those things come up from the earth, which is like those negative things from your subconscious come up. They're released." He said, then, he said, the land never goes back together in the exact same way. And he said, in between that crack, I plant my love and my wisdom, which gives you expanded consciousness. Isn't that what we're all here for? Isn't that what we want to achieve? Is to be able to have the Atma flow through us to each other without any obstruction. To have that peace and that equanimity and that bliss. Swami said, "You come here for such trivia." He says, "You bring me flowers, you bring me fruit to lay at the altar. You are bringing me what is already mine. I have come to bring you bliss. You cannot even imagine the beauty that I have to offer." So no matter what problems that are presented to us in this life, We must have the tolerance and the fortitude to hang on to his divine feet. Because let me assure you, especially if you're new, if you don't have enough Baba experiences, lean on mine until you do. He has changed my consciousness so much. He has changed my children so much. He has taken a daughter who did drugs and alcohol and who was so messed up. She started at the age of 11. She's now 34. What did Swami do? Through all of these problems that we had, it strengthened me. She was one of my best teachers. She strengthened my relationship with Swami because I was calling on him all the time. When I was sick, a month after Swami introduced himself to me, I thought my problems would go away. He piled them on. I got so ill, I was in bed with inner ear dizziness for 2 years. I couldn't get up. And every day I would sit in front of that altar crying, holding onto his robe, pulling and pulling and pulling, saying, Baba, Baba, Baba. First time I went to see Swami, he walked by. First thing he said was, Baba, 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 Baba. Mama, 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 mama. I called on him. You see, he will be there for us. He will take us through these things, these karmas that we have to go through. My daughter today is 34 years of age. She has a beautiful, such a gift from God, 11-year-old daughter. She's fine. She's not doing the drugs and alcohol. She stopped that years ago. And she says, my mom and I have the best relationship ever. If we give him time, if we give him enough time. Swami says things that are cured instant don't last. Those that move slow are permanent. And he wants a permanent fix for each one of us. Something that will last and be permanent. He loves you so much. Once I said to Swami, Swami, all those devotees out there, they love you so much. They all want to be here with you. He says, what can I do? Love is my form. But I love them. He has so much love for each of us. We can't even imagine it. And to bring the good and the bad, as someone said. Once when I went to Swami, I went by myself, and my husband, first time I had ever left my husband from the time I was 19 years old.
Free at last, free at last, free at last.
I expected him to write me letters. So after 2 weeks, a friend of mine came from St. Louis and was going to stay with me. I said, do you have any letters? No. Did my husband call? No. She said, I thought he would call before I left. And I was thinking, now Swami had me on the back burner. I mean, he wasn't looking at me. He wasn't talking to me. I mean, 5 years went by with this. And all I would hear was inside was, you sit on the back chairs. When I want you, I will call. Every time I took a chit, it was 30 and above. So I would go back to the chairs. Well, after about 6 weeks of being by myself, no looks from Swami, no attention, nothing coming from my husband, I got angry. I was so mad. I sat down and I wrote 2 letters. One to Swami and one to Robert. I told both of them I didn't want either one of them for a husband. I'd had it with both of them. I told Robert, I said, on the way home, I'm going to stop in Hong Kong, and I'm going to charge so many things on your charge account, you'll never be able to retire. I figured that was the worst thing I could do. And then I got mad at Swami as well. So I put my letter to Swami on the altar, mailed the letter to Robert. In the middle of the night, the Lord wakes me up. Swami says to me, bring the letter to me in darshan tomorrow. I said, oh, no, Swami, I ain't bringing you that letter. Swami says, you bring the letter to me tomorrow. He says, I am your mother. I am your father. You bring to me all that is good, as well as all that is bad. Then he said the magic words. If you bring the letter to me tomorrow, I will give you front row in darshan. Now, what would you have done? And Padnamaskar. Right. Front row and Padnamaskar. So I tucked my letter in my bag, and I took a chit, and by golly, I got the first row. And here comes Swami. You know how you all sit there with Swami and you're trying to coach him to come a little, not, come on, Swami, just a few feet closer? You know how we all do this, right? My dearest Lord came up. He took my letter, he gave me Padnamaskar, and he said, very happy, very happy. I guess I would have traveled around the world to hear those words. But then, some days later, he let me know inside what had happened. He said, this is what happened. He said, you came here to read. Now, he's telling me this in my inner voice. You came here to replace the love of your husband for the love and physical attention of Swami. God does not create desires. He destroys them. So I came with the wrong intention, and the Lord allowed me to see where I had made the mistake. This teacher, this Sri Sathya Sai Baba, is a master that we have never had before. And the way that he teaches us is so unorthodox. And he says, I will go to any length to get you. Any length to get us. Why? He wants to bring us home. One more sentence and then you can have it. He says, just think about this as mothers and fathers. If you knew that you could bring your child to a place where there would be nothing but great joy and bliss and happiness, to a place where they would never ever have to suffer again. And if you could see that down the future, wouldn't you allow that child to go through the bumps and the jumps that allowed them to finally reach that goal? We have such short-sighted vision. We want instant, everything instantly. We want instant relief, instant joy, instant happiness. The Lord has the big picture. The only thing he wants is to give us eternal bliss.
At one time, there was a lady, and she said, Swami, I want your grace. Swami kind of ignored her. Swami, I want your grace. Swami, I want your grace. Swami said, you want my grace? You are going to lose all your wealth. You are going to lose your health. And she flopped back down. And Swami said, you think grace is wealth, health, and happiness? Everything is the grace of God. Everything. See, in our limited vision, we can't understand those things. We think peace is happiness. Peace is doing... He said, in the West, you think happiness is doing what you want to do. You know, that's... all that is desires. That's not happiness. One other story. Swami walked up to me and says, where is your wife? I said, Swami, she's on the chairs. Swami says, no, she's not a chairperson. She's the chairman. I went, oh, Swami, I got to listen to her more. Oh, you know. But why does he do this? He does it because of love. You know, I was an engineer, and we have a tendency, I guess, to have our own little place in life, like Jim said. You want to have fun at school, play around and everything. You know, that's sort of our engineering nature, I think. And I really didn't care much about color coordination and wearing all these IBM-type clothes to work. And so sometimes I'd come home from work, and my youngest daughter, who was really into that kind of style, she'd say, oh, Mom didn't dress you today, huh, Dad? You're not color coordinated, Dad. I used to laugh at this. So in Brindavan, I'm sitting there ready to go in for an interview. And right next to me is standing the most distinguished Indian gentleman. If he walked in the room now, you'd all probably turn and look at him. That's how distinguished he was. He was in a beautiful Nehru outfit, but his hat was a different color than the blouse and pants. And Swami looked at him and said, you're not color coordinated. How comes your hat doesn't match? And I start laughing. I said, boy, is Swami getting that guy? Is Swami getting that guy? You know, Swami says, I do not speak directly to my devotees. I speak indirectly. I don't want to interfere with your God source. So if Swami is blasting someone next to you, it's really for you guys. You better listen. So I'm telling Rita the story, and she's just roaring. She said, what I've been trying to tell you, color coordination is a good thing to have. It makes people look happy on the outside instead of saying, God, what has he got on? You know, that's what Swami was trying to tell you, that he knows what I'm trying to tell you. So, you know, there's something that you just can't put into words. Swami has so much love. You cannot comprehend his sweetness. I've been blessed to be on the Christmas committee the last few years. And you cannot believe, of course, Swami, you know, God is very efficient. There was a talk in Albany a couple years ago about karma. And the guy talked about how God uses karma efficiently. And I realized that Swami does that too. He has all these wonderful people come over for Christmas, and he grinds eagles like crazy. You know, Arthur Hillcoat, who's been in charge of Christmas, he says, oh, Swami is so happy this Christmas, so happy. There were so many eagles ground. There were so many eagles ground. We had wonderful problems this Christmas. And we did. Oh, it was incredible things that happened this Christmas. But why? It's the love. And Swami is so gentle and so loving. And why, you know, you always hear this conflict about, oh, do I really have to go to Puja party? If I really believe I'm divine and God is everywhere, what do I got to go there for? Well, number one, I don't know anyone personally that can see the formless God and is totally into the formless God. I know I'm not there. And I like to feel and see that love. And that's why you go to India, to sit there and feel that total divinity. Whether you think he's, quote, you know, Swami said to this young man, where is God? He goes like this. Swami said, the clouds are up there. He says, God is everywhere. You're like a fish. You're in the water. Water's on the left side. You're the right side. You're the top side and the bottom. And it's even flowing through you. That's what God is. God is everywhere. You know, he's always, that love just pours out. Just pours out.
Robert, tell them the story about Christmas, the message that Swami gave this year, because I think it's really important for everybody to...
Which one? Inside?
Yeah.
Well, how do you interpret this? There's many ways. You know, Swami says things, and you read it, and a year later from now, because you've got more experience in life, you really read it again, because it really means something else to you sometimes, because you've grown as a person. We had everything organized. They
First
had
of
the
all,
children.
we had so many problems.
We had the choir going. We had the drama choir going. We had the children's audition. We had all this, and we were kind of feeling, "Phew, I think we're going to make it." The painters were painting the backdrops. The guys were making the props, and things were going fairly well.
Swami had to start really late, so we
Yeah.
only had about 5 days to put this off. And we had 173 children to make costumes for.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one problem after another. I've never seen anything like it. And
No
all
sewing machines.
No sewing machines. I mean, everything. We didn't have a play. We had to write a play. I mean,
but anyway.
But anyway,
Yeah.
it represented to me what's going on in all of our lives.
Okay. So, Swami, he brings us there, and we're children, guys. Let's face it. We're Swami's children, and he signs us all these things to keep us out of mischief and to keep our monkey mind from going too monkey, Like the guy said in the play, up the wall, down the wall, up the wall, down the wall. Keep that monkey mind busy. So then the boomerang hit. Arthur comes up, and he said, we got problems. And Rita said, sit down and have some coffee or tea, and Robert will be here in a minute. The Swami just sent word. Nobody who lives outside can be inside and participate in the play. Only inside. Well, boy, that's a double sword, right? Only Swami inside. Of course, we've heard this before. So we had to go tell everybody, including the children, anybody that's outside the ashram can't be a participant. They can't even show up and be in satsang because that's Swami officially blesses satsang, and he's officially invited to come. So it's an official part of the program. So no one from outside can come and even be in satsang for the singing and sharing stories in it. So we went around and told everybody, and then the tears started, all the emotional and the rubbing, and oh no. An hour later, word comes. Well, the rules changed a little bit. They got 24 hours to move inside. Well, we were doing a Russian song in the choir to get a little more unity and diversity going because, as you know, the Russians are coming. But out of 18 Russians, 15 were living outside. So that kind of blew the choir, didn't it? So then they said, well, you got 24 hours for people to sincerely make a decision to come in the ashram. So then we had to run around and say, cancel, guys. Everybody can get inside in 24 hours, can be a participant. Oh, I mean, you think, Swami, why are you doing this? What lessons are we really? I mean, what's really the lesson for this? Is that, Swami said somebody was criticizing some women who lived outside. Swami said, oh, body outside, head's inside.
But Swami had said, my true devotees,
Yeah.
my true devotees are living inside. Now, when we think about this in a deeper level, it's not physically those that were living outside, but it's those that are living in the heart with Him. And this is the message that's for the whole world. My true devotees are those that are living inside.
If Swami said those words to us, would they really mean as much as causing the drama and the tears and everything that happened those 24 hours? Would it have meant as much as if he just said in a discourse, my true devotees live inside? It wouldn't make near the impact to everybody that thought about this.
He gave us the experience. He says, experience, experience, experience. More karma going down.
Well, Swami light my fire, and I guess you did,
But Swami tells us to experience, 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 not bookish knowledge. He wants us to experience. And I have always felt that the Sai organization was for the extreme purpose, not necessarily of what kind of great movements we're going to have in the world, but right now it is for us to spiritually get clean. He rubs our egos. We have conflicts with each other. We have problems with each other. But this is his way of allowing us to churn and turn, like they call it. Swami, not the higher, what is that they say about his university? The higher churning, yeah, instead of higher learning.
Higher
University churning. Of higher churning. That's what it's all about. But every time, if we can just let go and just watch this projection. Swami says creation's a projection. We are nothing but watching a movie. I'm not this body. You're not that body. Swami told me this. I said, Swami, I said, pain. We have pain in the body. I said, Swami, what do we do? Swami says, no pain. I said, but Swami, there's emotional pain, there's mental pain, there's physical pain. Swami says, you are three persons. The one that others think you are, the one that you think you are, and the one who you really are. The one that others think you are is your mind. The one you think you are is the physical body, and the one that you really are is God, divine. He said it's like this, and he took his kerchief from his chair, and he went like this, and he went, psst. I mean, that thing just zipped right to the arm. And he went over, he says, that's my body. That's not me. I am not that body. I said, Swami, are you saying no thought? Swami says, no thinking. No thinking about the body. Then he looked at me and he said, you are master. You are master. You are master. We are all God. We are all masters. And we limit ourselves to this identity of this physical form. He is here to take us from that to our divine heritage. And if you stay with Swami, he will get us all home. Thank you so much. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.